slide this. It'd be best to do like this against this.
I mean, I know I have two older girls, but still, I can't get
You
them.
can see the screen. I'll tied up for you.
My little boys are over 16.
Well, on the roll cage in the race car, and Chas was like, "You got to go."
Man, so,
So, well, that's what Smitty's thinking.
whole thing, like a blast.
Do they think he's gonna regain his movement and everything?
He's moving everything. It's just really sensitive on the ends. It's-
We can't figure it out. I think they put it.
Well, I hated to hear
It's
that.
the
I'm glad he's
tabs like
doing
you put on the
better.
phone in an envelope.
Fantastic.
It's just extra.
Something for Troy to play with.
He doesn't just like that.
Oh man,
Got anything at home you don't want your family getting into? Stick it. That's right. This is Jeff's.
No, that will make them more enticed. Put chasties on it. Ain't nobody touching
Nobody's
it.
touching it.
It's game over. She might or might not be, have them all pumped. Self-included.
You're self-included.
That woman scared me. She an angry female.
Maybe one of them deals where it's so cold that when you open it, air hits it, it starts to freeze.
Yeah, it's got a big chunk of ice in it.
We've been having this fun.
hey Ben, nobody signed that, have you? Will you check that?
No, not no, terrible.
Are you like putting it in there and welding it as you? Yeah, that's probably the only way to do it, I guess.
It is. It's terrible. I don't know what I'm going to do in this situation. Chas said, I got to get it back going back together. She said, why? I said, I don't know where the freaking
How in
wires
the
go.
world do you know where
I
all
know
of
it
it goes to?
No.
I know where the hot stuff to make the motors
It's
goes,
crazy.
I did that.
but I don't know where the factory stuff.
What is that he doing in them?
Before we ever
That might- must have-
I got
Mustang?
the first draft from Trina, I let her and the boys listen to it.
Well, hey,
And she was like, that's
I hope you don't need it, but you need it in there.
That's
I
what I
hope
told
you don't use it, let's put it that way.
I'm also learning to TIG weld at the same time. Chad Cherry said, I'll tell you this, if it fails, you'll be the first to know.
Wow,
Logic,
not.
it's a very logical thing, Chad.
It's logical.
Yeah. The whole time I was thinking, Eli will probably be the one in here, I need to actually do that.
Yeah.
I read the menu that everybody sent me.
If I'm supposed to be able to see it,
Oh, I didn't put that on it either.
Yeah, maybe they'll, maybe.
Clay did, I think.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Ice cream on
I
there.
didn't even see it.
right here it comes. Yeah,
I didn't pay any attention.
he's on. Hello, Clay.
Can't count my nasal hairs this time.
And you need to scoot up to the
Scoot
camera,
up.
sir.
Scoot
a
up.
little. Hey, just remember, volume is running loud and clear, so. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Just the right side.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Oh, you still got it too.
A minute.
Gotcha.
Everybody got quiet.
I know. About a minute before, you can count on it.
Only 7.
Eager anticipation.
That's right.
It's a great work.
All right, it's 7 o'clock. If everyone will please stand for just a moment before we begin our meeting. I'm going to ask Ben to lead us in a word of prayer, and Becky, if you'll follow by leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray together. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day it's turned out to be. Father, we thank you for the rain and this time of year, spring, and all the new growth and fresh beginnings. Father, we just ask that you would be with us tonight in this meeting, that we may be the examples we need to be. Father, we ask you to be with the teachers and students as they prepare for TCAP testing. Just give them the peace of mind, Father, that they can get through it and with little anxiety and as least amount of stress as they can have on one another. Father, we just ask that you be with the class of 2024 upcoming graduates, Father, that they may look to seek you in all that they do, Father. We love you and we thank you for always seeking us, and we thank you for your Son. And we pray all this in your most holy name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Move your seat. All right, at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Kilzer if he'd please call the roll.
Shane Connor,
Here.
Ben Couples.
Here.
Jeff Harris.
Here.
Becky Hutcherson.
Here.
Clay Rogers.
Here.
Brandy Cherry.
Here.
All present.
All right, there's a quorum present, so that means we can proceed with our meeting. We'll officially call that to order. And the first item we have tonight is a approval of the consent, or a recommendation to accept the board agenda.
I make a motion to accept the board agenda.
Second.
All right, motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion about the agenda tonight? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so our agenda is set. The next item is approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, motion has been made and seconded. There is no discussion on that item. All those in favor of approval say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so the consent agenda is approved. The first thing we'll come to tonight is delegations, but we have no one who is signed up to appear before the board tonight, so we'll move right on to our spotlight and celebration. And we do have a very important one of those this evening, and we're going to be celebrating Will Kemp, who has been recognized as a Tennessee Future Farmer of America Star Farmer, the FFA State Convention. And have Mr. Kilzer maybe add some narrative to that, and then share with us a little bit.
Well, in this event, I'm going to let most of the introduction fall back on his FFA advisor, Ms. Teresa Kraus. She was present and Brandy took some good pictures too, so big event. So if you would, just do a little bit of an intro, and Will, are you ready to speak for at least 30 minutes? No. Okay. Very good answer.
So as far as how far back you want me to go?
Just as far back as you feel like you need to.
So freshman year, this kid said he was gonna be a star farmer. So he's worked really hard, done a lot of community service, done a lot of work on the farm, worked hard at school, and has actually now started to be recognized for all that hard work. So I'm extremely proud of him. He started out as a candidate at West Tennessee region, so was named West Tennessee Star Farmer, and then went to state back a couple of weeks ago. Had to go through some more extensive interviews, had to update application, and the application process itself was a walk in the park, wasn't it?
It was pretty bad.
So he's actually gone through an extensive process to get to this recognition. Went through and went against Middle and East Tennessee Star Farmers and was named our Star Farmer. So now his next steps would be, he's got the opportunity to continue to work and build that resume. He's got until he's 21 to go to national convention or on a national level. And in that meantime, he's working for his American degree, and he can run as American Star Farmer at a national level. So, extremely proud of him.
Will, that was a lengthy intro, but we'd like you to come up here.
All right.
Still come on, young man. You know how those FFA guys are. They gotta do it on the fly.
Right.
So just kind of give a little, share your perspective of what was
Well, like
work.
Ms. Krause said, I moved to Chester County High School when I was in 9th grade. I've been going to a private school in Jackson, but they just didn't have the ag program, and I wanted to get involved in that because I farm too. And so I didn't know anybody, didn't know Ms. Krause, and so I kind of just sit in the back of a class until I figured everything out. And then about mid-year, she elected officers and she elected me, and we built our program up every year. And so this year she said, "Are you still wanting to be Star Farmer?" And I said, "Yeah." And so we started with the regional step. Never figured I was going to get the regional, but we did. And so we started the application and we did it, and it was about 15 pages, and it was a whole bunch of words and stuff, pictures, and we sent it in. We let a bunch of other people review it, and we went, and I was nervous about the regional, And I did my interview. I was the first one of 3 other people to interview, and I did it. And then they called my name and said I had won. So we did that. We come home, and then we redid the application again, and sent it back in. And then I was the 3rd person at state to interview the other 2. I guess, which is good. It left a good impression on them. But and then I didn't think I was gonna get it either, but we did. But it feels good to be the first person from Chester County to win, because I mean that sets a good role model for Chester County, and I hope I'm not the last one to win. But
So which one was the more challenging, the West Tennessee competition or the state competition?
I would probably say the state competition, just because they had already won, and they had all 3 or the 2 other ones, they had a really good program, just as good as mine.
So what do you think stood yours out among those other 2?
Well, I would have to say that I really don't know, but I had 3 or 4 different things. I restore and show antique tractors, and I raise produce and have cattle and row crop farm, plus do the West Tennessee State Fair stuff, Farm Bureau stuff. I had a lot of other irons in the fire besides just one thing, and their programs just had either cows or crops or produce.
And you make a pretty good ice cream.
I make good ice cream.
Very good, very good.
He does.
But that's about all I got.
So what was it like walking on stage and experiencing that?
Well, the East went first, and they had a video played, and in the middle, and then we all went up, and each of them had like 2 or 3 people, and we brought like 14 with us. And then we had a video, and the dude that was announcing the award, he just sounded like he was talking forever. And we sat there, and then he called our name, and I couldn't believe it. I told Dad, I said, I can't believe we did it, but we did. And then they give us the award, and we started taking pictures. But I couldn't believe we won.
Well, I included, Brandon, do you have anything to share since you were there too?
I was privileged to be present when Will won, and I can say it was extremely exciting. We were all excited. You can hear the scream in the video. Is one of those is me. And we had the Chester County students that were with us were in another section, and you could hear the roar where they were at, and it was really exciting. But I'm really proud of Will. I'm gonna probably get emotional, but Sydney and Will are in the same grade, and they started in FFA together as a freshman. And I'm just really proud of all of them, all of our senior officers. They've worked really hard. They helped revamp this program. And I just appreciate your work, Will, and your family's work. And I'm looking forward to the future of the program. And thank you, Ms. Krause, for what you've done.
Absolutely.
And I was just really proud to be there. It'll be an experience that I will always remember.
Tell us a little bit about all your crop production, iron, as you said, the irons in the fire.
Yeah. Well, so I row crop farm around 400 acres of corn and soybeans as of this year, hoping to grow some next year. And then I've got about 75 cows that I run along with my grandfather and my dad. And then, this year I've started a new adventure with a produce business. We farm about 15 or 20 acres of produce with peas and corn, cabbage and potatoes and stuff. I'm gonna sell it to local grocery stores and at the farmers market and stuff. And then I buy and restore antique John Deere tractors and take them to shows and just fix them up and teach younger kids and older adults just how agriculture used to be. Because if we lose that insight how agriculture used to be, there'll be no knowledge about agriculture today.
Very good. Yeah. Did you bring anybody with you?
Yeah, I brought my mom and my dad, and then Gracie. She's my girlfriend, but she's also our chapter vice president, and then Miss Krause, our ag teacher. But since I started in the 9th grade, our ag program has jumped through hoops. I mean, just every year we get better and better. We went to the West Tennessee Awards banquet the other day, and our 10th grade year we didn't win nothing. Last year we went, I think we won 3 awards. This year we won 11 awards. I mean, that just proves. And I think we're 17th in West Tennessee. We really improved our chapter. And I think our 10th grade year we were 45th. So, that just proves how much we've grown in the last 4 years. And it's getting better every year.
Well, the ones behind you, success breeds success, so they see the model that you
Yeah,
provided.
and they're doing good. I think they'll be just as good as us.
Yeah.
And
Or
if they're
better.
not- And if they're not, they're just not.
That's right.
But,
Well, I think they're lucky to have you as a role model, and you having your parents as role models.
yeah,
And Ms. Kraus has done a great job, so.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Will.
Thank you, Doug. Now, I included in your packet a one-pager from the state FFA that shows what he had to do when he talked about, he may end up being a literacy giant, you know, after all this practice. You may start teaching others how to write.
There was a lot of teachers that helped me with my
Well, that's what we all do. We pull in our friends. That's right. Very good. Very good. Proud of you.
Thank you and congratulations again. You bet. As we move forward tonight, next we have any public comment on actionable agenda items. We've had no one sign up to make those comments. We'll move right into those items. And the first is a recommendation to the board for the Board of Education out-of-county tuition rates. This is something we address each and every year, and it's time for that review for this year. And I'll have Mr. Kilser kind of talk about the recommendation and the justification for that.
Just a reminder, in your board pack, that you do have a copy of the policy that reflects on what we're fixing to do. It's policy 6.204. Says it in the first line, all out-of-county students seeking admission will be required to pay tuition fees which are set annually by the board. So again, these are, if you recall from last school year, we raised the 2 or more students in one family to $1,000 from $900. It'd been $900 for several years, but we kept the $600 the same. Now, again, my recommendation is if you see it reflected in the agenda, is to keep the rates the same. Since we did make the increase this year, for this year, up by 100 for the 2 or more, I'd prefer that we stay the same for another year. Remember, our ADM, our funding is based on students' membership. So this is not impacting these rates as it reflects in your agenda. It's a very small revenue source. It's not something that we really invest a lot of budget in, but it's, we do receive our ADM, well, say it better. The TISA funding comes from our ADM. So the more that we recruit in, even from out of county, those count just like the ones who are from Chester County.
All right, is there a motion to approve this recommendation?
I make a motion to approve it.
Okay, motion made by Clay Rogers.
Second.
Second is made. Is there any discussion or questions about it?
No.
Okay. You look like you had something on your mind, Ms. White.
Okay, nothing? Okay. All right, if there are no questions or discussion, the motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor of approving the rates stay the same, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and that is approved. Next is a board policy. We need to look at it. Is board policy 4.602. And this goes back to an item we've looked at for a couple of months now about the honors scholars list. And I'll have Mr. Kilser talk a bit more about this policy and the revision requested.
As I tried to express it in your agenda, about the time of last month's meeting, we had some questions come up from senior families about the protocol, the procedures that we have for recognizing those that would be considered the honor scholars. And there was some question around the attendance rates. And when we began to reflect on that and pulling the policy that's impacted by it, which is policy 4.602, the policy, and also there's a page that is titled Procedures for CCBOE Policy 4.602. That is a procedural document that will be pending board approval, embedded in the student handbook. But what was realized is that looking at the actual policy 4.602, the language, the wording did not change much. We took out some of the redundancy of some of the terminology and kept things in somewhat better order, in my opinion. But the things that I did include, which was causing some discrepancy around the criteria for the honor scholar, was where do we cut off, like for the attendance rates? So that's why we've put in there, as it is for when you recognize those students, we do it for the first 3 years plus their fall semester. just to allow time for the salutatorian, the valedictorian to be confirmed and get their applications in for scholarship futures, because that conversation is occurring right now. So we like to use early in the in the second semester to do that work. So that's why the majority of our, all of these efforts to know when to cut off or when to establish the criteria is based on that 3 years plus the first semester. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? Okay.
I think that we need to do a really good job of telling students about this when they begin as a freshman.
Right.
Because that was, I had a lot of students and parents say, we were not aware of this.
Right.
That,
And I would.
as far as the attendance goes.
Right. Now, that has been in the handbook. Of course, the reference to that would be the expectation of the work duties of your school counselors, which unfortunately our school counselors have been more fluid in the last few years. So, but again, I agree with you, Brandy. It's gonna be, now again, if you look at the agenda, the one pager for the procedural document, again, that's fairly verbatim with what's already there, other than what I've carried in the bold-faced type and the italicized. That gives some reference to the number of days. Again, that's over the course of their high school career, not just 1 year. So it does allow some flexibility. My concern last month when we were looking at this was how would they taking, because you guys know that this senior class would have been during the COVID 2021 school year. But again, all those dates where students were contact traced and said you can't come to school, those days were considered not as an absent, but as a distance learning. So it didn't even go into the count, which is what I was hoping to hear, because I knew that would really impact a lot of kids without their responsibility. They're just being told you can't come to school. So, but this would reflect that 95% attendance. Again, it's over the course of 3 years plus a summer, or plus a fall semester. Now, I was told by Mr. Murley, the principal, that the counselors do provide during the fall for those students who have the grade point average, who meet the criteria with the courses. They're given the application to apply for it so they can know who to check. And that's what started spurring some of these conversations, because, again, it could have been recorded better in the policy and also the procedures. So that's my request to the board, to consider this revision, and this will be the replacement.
Was there any instances where there was any need for clarification on what was an excused absence versus what they later found out was
That's what I was
considered?
thinking. Wasn't there a situation where somebody had their tonsils taken out or missed for something like that, and that?
To my knowledge, nobody talked to me about that. Now, that's a possibility, but we've had nobody talk. Again, this is for attendance, and it's not for whether it's excused or unexcused.
Okay.
So with the way the language reads, excused or unexcused is not conditional with whether it's 95%. Does that make sense?
Yes, it doesn't matter if they can have all excused absences,
right,
but
right.
it still has to be 95%.
Right.
Over the course of the 4 years,
Yeah.
which, as you see,
If you can miss more than 5% and still be the smartest person in the room, then that means you're pretty smart. So why would you punish somebody? If something happens and they do have to get their tonsils out and whatever, it pushes them right over the edge, then.
well, and again, Clay, it is not like each year you got to have 95%, because we have had some who've had more absences in a given year as compared to the next. But we're looking at it over the entirety of their 4 years, 3 years plus the first semester. So that's 38 days over the course of 4 school years, 3 years plus a semester, was allowable to take for this senior bunch, 38 days. Which is a significant number of days when you think 20 days of school represents a month.
Yeah. Well, like Brandy said too, if you get it out there on the beginning, if you did have some type of, surgery or something that you might know you're gonna have to have. Now, you can't control everything.
Right.
But as a parent, you could try to plan that around days you're gonna already be out of school, maybe to extend that time off so that you don't use as many days.
Right. Right.
You know, I sort of agree with Clay a little here. Sydney was actually really worried about this because, she doesn't miss school unless we're on a trip or she's sick. But I mean, you get the flu twice in 1 year, you have the flu every year, that's unfortunate. And you're just sorry you can't be an honor scholar because you had too many excused absences.
So, again, I'm open to recommendation. I mean, attendance is a real critical in the federal accountability.
That's why I asked, was there any clarification issues? I mean,
Well, the questions that I had were excused or unexcused, and I pointed out from the policy and the procedures, that makes no difference,
Yeah.
because it's dealing with the attendance side, not whether or not they're excused or unexcused.
I don't know what the number of days is, but to me, I mean, I know for my children, we have 5 kids, and when somebody gets sick, they pass it. Like when somebody gets the flu, then the rest of the household is going to get the flu, and it just makes it harder. I know that probably none of my kids would make that. Now, I'm not saying just for me personally, but I know that my children have missed more than 38 days in the past 4 years. Every single one of them have. And some of that, like Randy said, is because of a trip or, whatever. And I know, like, even if you're, doing, I don't know, so going on a trip or sickness or whatever, but to me, 38 days in 4 years is not a whole lot. And I dang sure wouldn't make it. But, and my children wouldn't either, just because of the sickness. So, I don't think 38 is that many. I know it sounds significant to people that, don't miss as much or maybe have as many children, but
That's not
38 is not a significant amount over 4 years to
Well,
me.
that's what I was looking at. I'm like, that's
I'd
not
like to see
bad.
it
I'd have to
changed
take a
personally.
look at this. This is for next year.
I don't know what that number is. I mean, what would 90% look like?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Percentages are based on the procedures. That can change tonight.
What would 90% look like if, so 95% is 38? That wouldn't double it though.
No, the current seniors are based on 38. The policy here is to clean everything up. This is for next year's bunch. This would be,
Right.
And it's less.
yes,
It's 27.
but it's only for 3 years plus a semester. It's not for the
it
full
doesn't
senior
run it
year.
all the way through the year.
See, that's
Allow some time.
the difference, because it was not clean in the description with these guys who are the seniors now.
Yeah,
We're
once they-
reflecting for the whole year.
Yeah.
So we're giving them the second semester as a grace period.
What if we changed it to 90% instead of 95?
That's,
Well, each school year, for students to attend, it's 180 school day, but they only attend 177. That's the way it will be more than likely throughout, as long as I'm working and the people following, I think they're gonna keep the same. So we're
So that
roughly,
would change it to 70 days?
well, you'll have 10%, you have 3 years.
62, I think.
I hadn't done the math, but you've got 3 years fully at 177 each, plus your first semester of your fall, which could range from 89 to 90 days.
62 would be.
I think,
Yeah,
if you
62.
change it to
62?
90%,
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
That's what, they did the math, Shane did the math, and it's
I
90,
believe so.
or did you say 60?
Did you do it too?
Yeah.
Just so I double check.
60
Yeah,
what?
62.
62 days.
I mean, if it's
Based on
600
620
based
days.
on
If
620.
you base it on 620, it's 62,
Yeah.
yes.
that sounds better to me. I mean, to me, if you can still make it, if you can still make the grades and you miss 62 days of school,
Then you deserve
That's,
that honor.
that's 3 months, that's 3 months.
3 months of
3
your
months
high
of
school career.
Of your high school career lost. I mean, when you gotta remove the thought that this is a 30-day calendar.
Waiting for Clay to
Because
say
weekends we
something.
don't go.
That's right.
So it's a 20-day calendar, roughly. So you're thinking 3 months lost, a month.
it's 15 days a year. So that's the flu and strep throat and your tonsils.
3 years in the fall semester, though. It's not quite 4
It's not
years.
a full the fourth senior year, the full year does not count.
It counts just the first semester.
I'm just one person.
I really think it should be more. 90 might be, you know, maybe we need to find a medium in between that. But you just get into, you know, like we were talking about, you know, you go on a trip, and I have a different view than probably a lot of people, but, you know, like, for example, this year we went on a business trip to Houston, and I went to the Space Center, and I didn't let my child go because I didn't want them to miss school, which in my opinion, it probably should be a educational trip and excuse, but then I'm not getting into all that, but, it limits families as to what they can do. And
Well, if we agree that
just-
38 or even less this next year because of the grace period is not enough, and 62 may be too much, then
I mean, between 90 and 95 is either 92 or 93,
That's
whichever
right.
way you want to fall on that.
yeah,
If you round up or round down,
yeah.
so.
I make a motion to change it to 92.
So what would that be?
You have to
Shane?
do so based on a 620 day.
Yeah, 620.
I mean, 620 pack.
With the new grace period for the,
Be about 50, just under 50. It's 570.4 school days. So 30 and 20, 50, basically. I wouldn't want to muck it up much more, but to me, if you go to that, you leave a lot of openness for unexcused. There needs to be some excused criteria on that number. If you're saying it can be excused or unexcused, a kid can miss unexcused all these additional days. So you see, does that make sense?
yeah, that's why I was
Yes,
asking about the clarification.
Yeah, but I mean,
Do
it
we
shouldn't
need to
be,
put
it
some
shouldn't
kind
be
of
a
language
broad,
with it?
regardless of your reason, you can miss, whatever we just said, 50 days. It needs to, some kind of, because then, you know, you don't have to,
Yeah,
it can be all unexcused for that matter. You know, and that's not really what we're trying to accomplish, because if they're all unexcused, there's also something to be said for teaching kids to show up at a job on time when you're expected to be there. That's part of it too.
well, if you allow this number to be, what was this, 27 with the new 24, 25 school year, 27 days
Right.
total? So what if you only allowed that many days unexcused, and then the difference of that to 50
To a
could be
23, yeah.
could be unexcused?
Makes more sense. To me, it doesn't need to be a blanket 50 days regardless of your reason. That's a little extreme, I would think.
Just for round numbers, you could just say 50% of that time could be unexcused.
So 23 days could be unexcused of the 50.
Now,
25.
just to inform you guys of state law. If you have 5 unexcused absences, that requires a letter from the school district saying your truth.
I was about to say, you're getting a truancy letter if you miss this many.
I know.
I know.
Plus,
Me
you go before the judge if it
I'm about to
continues.
get one.
I think it would be, again, that's a gray area that we wouldn't want to celebrate or encourage.
Yeah.
a truancy, I mean, going before the judge, there's a truancy board that we'll do internally, but that's, all of that's state law.
Yeah.
We're required, 6.20 is our attendance policy,
What we allow certainly needs to fall under that.
Yeah,
We don't
exactly.
need to condone
something that's.
something that
cause-
borderlines of truancy, you know, by state law, not our policy.
Right.
5 days per semester or 5 days per year?
5 days per year.
Excused? I thought it was
Unexcused.
7. Oh, okay, unexcused, that's right, okay.
It used to be higher, yeah. Remember, back many years ago, we were excessive with what we allowed with call-ins, what we allowed, but now state law does require 5. They have to get a notice after 3, get some notice after 3 unexcused. 5 requires the letter. And then it leads to contracts to be signed by the parent, by the student, by the school leadership, as far as a plan of corrective action to get to school more often.
So no more than 12 days can be unexcused, or 10 days?
No, excuse can be, there is no restriction on
Sorry,
excuse.
I meant unexcused.
Right.
I misspoke.
For unexcused, you would not need, well, again, for unexcused, again, if they're missing habitually, daily, we don't get to call a truancy board, that comes up scheduled. So we don't call it on a day-to-day basis. So there's a chance where somebody's being recommended to go before a truancy board, but it's not scheduled until another few days later, or maybe another week, or maybe the next quarter. So you could still have a significant number of days unexcused absence before a student gets to go truancy board compared to somebody else.
But there's also the number of excused absences. When you start missing them, do you not get, does that not fall into a truancy situation?
Well, for school reporting, that's chronic absenteeism. That's another federal measure of accountability that is not a school issue. That's unrelated. But yes, excused absence, unexcused absence count the same for chronic absenteeism. But that's not something related to going before a judge with a truancy issue does not include excused absence, because we have students who are homebound for excessive number of days.
Could you just say no more than 10 days of those absences could be unexcused?
I'm just saying I'm just stating what the law requires. After 5, each year, you're required to get a letter of notice that you're considered truant, please change your ways. Roughly, I mean, that's generally what the purpose is. There's no action taken against a family or against the student after 5 other than the letter. Just bringing their awareness that practices need to improve. But if it continues, it leads to some excessive amounts. Excessively, you're talking about 30 to 40 days, which are possible in any given year. And those are the students that usually appear before the judge with some type of judging their corrective action.
So 10 would be half of that?
I don't.
Half of the days allowed by the state
Correct.
in a 3-year period?
Not 3, it'd be under 10 with 3.5 when they do the designation of the honor scholar. 10 would be 4 full years.
Yes.
Yes. Because it's, yeah, half, it's 20 for 4 full years. 10's half of that, for slightly less, since we're talking 3.5 years.
So what if we moved it to like a 94%? That would just allow a few more days, and then we wouldn't have to necessarily specify excused, unexcused.
That's 94.
Well, it
One
would
for 10
probably,
would add 6 more days, would be 44.
just a few
I
more days.
still think it would make it easier on administration to have that language. So when they do get a letter, you can say, this is the state law, this is our policy, you know, nobody's picking on your kid. If
it's not excused. This distinguishes excused from unexcused, and it's right here in black and white. Other than a percentage that they've got to figure over a 3-year period and a half a semester versus a 4-year of their entire high school career. Just for clarification.
I'm with you.
If
What
nothing
do you
else,
think it should be?
for the faculty. I don't know if it's, what did you come up
That
with
would
there?
be right at 37. Well,
37.
yes, 582.8, so 583 basically, so 17 and 20, 37.
So without condoning it, we're saying roughly 7 days
Per year.
per year of the 3-year and a half a semester can be unexcused.
Okay.
You need this amount over the 3 years in order to graduate as an honor student, but only that amount can be unexcused. And it's black and white. And then that meets the state criteria.
Well, again, I just emphasize that the state criteria is just to give notice after 5, or give a letter after 5 that leads to the students and their families have to go through contracts with the school district, school specific, for a plan of corrective action that everybody signs off on. There's a level 2, level 3 of attention to that. If it gets to level 3, then the next step is to go before the truancy or the juvenile judge over truancy issue.
Well,
But
we
it's
certainly
not,
don't want to condone anybody to
Right.
miss school. But I would, if those children, if they're gonna miss school habitually like that, I'm
Well,
sure
they
they don't
can't-
care what the number of days is.
well, again, and just as significant is the courses that they take. And if they're taking these courses at the collegiate level, dual enrollment, they're not gonna tolerate that practice
That's right,
either.
that's right. So it's gonna have its own way to minimize.
Right.
But at the same time, like Dave said, I would hate for a child to have some type of injury, wreck, tonsils need to be removed, just a bad year, 2 years of being sick, and miss it by 2 days. And they really try, they're in dual enrollment, they're a good kid, good student, but they missed it by 2 days just for mishap. I mean, if we could allow a little bit of buffer and still come underneath that with good language that's in a policy that parents understand, and we get it to them right out of the gate freshman year, then that would help a lot, I think.
I can't remember who it was. Someone told me about a student this year that just missed it, and they didn't know about it or whatever, and they had their tonsils removed or something and missed because of that, or I don't remember, but that's what I'm worried about. I'd like to add some days just because of that, and then if you want to cap it at 10 days unexcused or something, to keep people, I guess, honest or whatever, then do that. But I'd say, make it whatever you want to, 92, 93, 94%, but then put that clause in there that says only X amount of days can be unexcused. And would you say Ben 17 days could be
Seven?
unexcused?
Seven.
Yeah.
Because like Shane said, you're not looking at the full 4 years. It's 3 years and a half a semester. So if that's, in 4 years, if it's 20 and you do half, that's 10, but you're not doing 4 years. So you gotta back it up a little bit more.
I thought you said 17.
No, 7.
7.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with Ben on that. 7, just say 7 days can be unexcused, no more.
And then, what was, if you said 94%, Brandy?
94% would be 38 days. What was that, Shane? 30?
37. If
37.
you round up, it'd be 37, yeah, because it's 582.8 days, so you round up to 583, 17, then the 20 to 620 is 37.
Which is currently what it was this school year, 38.
Yes.
It was 38.
Yes.
Yeah. But you backed up half a semester, so you gained some
Well,
ground there.
Yeah, for this year, because the language was not really clear,
That's right.
that we cut it off at Christmas time, that we graced them for the second semester, which gave them those days.
I think that would help.
So,
So, put
You got
that
a
in the
motion
form
on
of a
the floor.
motion. Yeah, let's,
You
well,
already
first,
got a
first of
motion.
all, we need, well, is there a, we need to clear the motion that's on the floor. So is there a second to Clay's motion?
I'll second Clay's motion.
No,
90%.
no,
No, not to
you just need to
90%.
be no second if
He
you don't
changed
agree.
it. He-
No,
he
no,
didn't
No,
change
you
it.
can't change
He
it.
ch-
You gotta vote it down,
It's just-
then do a new motion.
I got you. I thought he had made a motion to change it.
No. So, any second to that motion? Okay, motion does not go to the floor because of no second. Now, is there a new motion to be made?
Clay, you wanna word it?
Yeah, let me, what if we make it 93%? Like Brandy said 94, I said 92, what if we meet in the middle of 93?
Well, I mean,
We've done that.
38 days is not even adding any from what it was this year. is
But
it?
you're making the cutoff a lot sooner.
But what was the cutoff? I mean, the cutoff was Christmas this year, was it not?
no, it was not. That was where the clarity was
Yeah.
not.
What was it?
That we have given them the grace of this second semester to consider that to be included. That's what allowed more absences to be made and not kick them out because of the lack of clarity around whether this ended at Christmas time.
Well, for the seniors this year, when did it end?
It's still going.
Okay, that's what I didn't get. Okay,
Right,
thank you.
Right, yes.
All right.
Because of the lack of clarity, like what we're trying to do right now.
Right.
We just gave them grace to carry it to.
I didn't realize it was still
Yes, ma'am.
in play. Okay.
Shane, what if we made it 93%? What's that look like?
He's the math.
If you round
You
up,
gotta round up.
24, 44.
Yeah, 6 days, 40.
Over 3.5 years, so.
With the wording that only 7 days of that per year can be unexcused.
You don't wanna, and again, if I may weigh in.
Absolutely.
I'd rather it be total, because sometimes, just like you said, things kinda happen.
Yeah,
This gives flexibility when you're looking at it in totality,
yeah.
then you're not
Then you can work
roping.
around it.
You can.
Yeah.
If they have a good year, you know,
It averages out, so.
you're just looking at it and keeping it consistent, because that's what you're doing for their grades anyway.
Yeah.
You know, you're not saying you gotta make an A average your freshman year, sophomore year, because somebody may
Yeah.
struggle freshman year and turn their act
So-
around and pull it off.
Like Clay did. So
So you're
now-
saying not tag it with an excused, just 44?
No, he's still, I think,
Yeah.
well, I don't know if y'all are still talking about tagging it with unexcused, but just not saying it has to be so many per year.
Right, yeah, it needs to be over the
Okay.
lifetime.
Over the
How many
three,
over the
3
lifetime?
years.
Yes,
Yeah.
Over the
exactly.
total. Yeah, I
So
would just,
7 over the total?
no, no,
Or,
No,
oh,
what-
I'm sorry. So that would be, 21 days?
For,
That would be
No.
half.
22, you could do half, 22, because you've still got that half semester. 7 over the total is only 3 years.
so you're saying no more than up to half could be counted as unexcused, or?
I'm just trying to paraphrase the motion.
Well, I mean, I don't wanna condone too many days, but I sort of wanna restrict the totals that some of these kids that are really trying to get in a pickle, so. So
44 days.
44 days, and that's 94%?
That's 93%.
93%.
Mhm.
I really think now they're only allowed 7 excused absences before they start counting as unexcused anyway. Is that?
Say that again. Well, you have, as
In a
a
year.
parent, you can call 5 times and say, my child is sick, and I want to count as excused. It's past, it's now shorter, it's 5.
It's not 7, it's
No,
5.
It used to be.
That's even worse.
But then you bring doctor's notes.
But then you can bring a doctor's statement.
Yeah, you can clarify it.
See, we've got a lot of grace that probably does not get explained well. As a parent, you can call in 5 times and excuse your child
For
sick.
whatever.
For whatever. For 5 times per school year. Then you have up to 5 doctor statements that can be just that simple, quick stamp from the doctor's office saying, Ben is sick today, won't be at school. Then if it goes beyond the 5, then it has to be doctor's narratives, which means there's something more extensive that's causing something chronic that needs to be with more attention. So it goes 5 call-ins to 5 doctor statements to 5+ narratives.
So it could be 10 total excused.
Could be. Are you talking about in a given year, Brandon?
Yes, I am.
You could have more than that. Just depends. Just like what you're saying. See, the principal, the way the law reads in TCA, the principal has the ability and authority to either grant all or grant none. It's just our practices have been, and the grace has been, if a family calls and says so-and-so is gonna be out today, you've got those 5 call-ins.
Well, that's where I was getting to. The principal, if you know somebody is trying to beat the system, and you can say yes or no, can it be on an individual basis? Or are you saying across the board?
Well, the
The
5
student-
well, now, there is accountability that's done by the attendance, staff at the school.
Yeah,
So not everyone is, but again, they're based on a protocol.
yeah.
I mean, their practices are 5 call-ins, 5 doctor statements leading to narratives to follow, to get it excused. If it's sick-related, obviously if it's attending like a conference, you just gotta make a conversation with the principal prior to and say, my child's going to New York City. It is a trip that's gonna be educational. I'd like it to be considered excused. Principal can excuse that.
I'd make a motion to change this to 93% can be missed over the course of the high school career, the three years and semester, or however many days that is, and then no more than 10 days could be unexcused.
I second.
Okay, is there any discussion or additional questions about the motion?
10 days per year, 10 days over the 3 years.
10 days over the course, 10 days after 44 days.
Of the
would
44
be
days,
unexcused.
yeah, the span.
So,
Is that what you're seconding, Brian?
Okay. And I'll rephrase it before. Any other discussion or questions? All right, so the motion has been made to adjust the policy to 93%, which on a 620-day school year is 44 days. No more than 10 of those are unexcused. Did that state your motion correctly, Clay?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Ben, is that,
Yep.
everybody good?
Okay. Well, let's find out. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it's good, apparently, so.
So let me, for my clarity,
Okay.
how are we doing with and again, this would impact,
Yeah, can-
this does not impact the, well, it does impact, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Bullet number 3, it will impact that. So bullet number 3 on the policy, 4.602, where it says the high school attendance average will be now 93%, with no more than 10 total days unexcused.
Correct.
That's correct.
Correct, yes. All right. All right, moving along to our next item of business. It is another recommendation to address a policy. This is policy 6.310, it's a policy that is addressing the dress code and discipline code and the grade levels that they apply to, regarding what has been 6 through 12, adjusting to 4 through 12. And Mr. Pilzer, have you explained that a little better?
Okay, currently it's 4 through 12.
Right.
You know, and of course, Mr. Jared Shoemate, who's here with us, to testify if necessary or to answer questions. But the conversation that Mr. Shoemate had with me last week was that because we treat our middle school, we title it middle school inappropriately. It's not a middle school. But through the years since the 6th grade has left that campus and come over and made our junior high a true middle school, the 4-5 school setting at our middle school is more of a late primary elementary school. It's an intermediate elementary school. So the request made by Mr. Shoemate is, could we then be under the same discipline code, because our discipline code guidance is right now K through 3, and then it picks up 4 through 12. So dress code, all the discipline practices and procedures that are in that 4 through 12 discipline code, really we are at that time, just like the agenda shared, it is my belief that the reason why we started with the 4th grade as the starting place is because then we had the 6th grade there. So now since 6th grade has moved to the junior high, then the request being made is primarily with the discipline or with the dress code, because they're elementary school kids in consideration 4 and 5. And then it would just expand out to say with the policy, not only with the dress code, but with the whole scope of work, the cutoff would then be K through 5 and then 6 through 12.
Any discussion or motion on that recommendation?
I make a motion to,
I second.
okay. There must be a delay.
So Ben made the motion to approve it, and you second it, Clay, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion or questions about the adjustment?
I'd kind of still like to hear Jared Shoemate testify
Before this crucial vote, Jared, would you like any input on?
I just appreciate it. I think that's gonna serve our students a lot better and serve our families as well, a lot better in that respect. I think it's just a good change for our kids, because right now 4th graders held, which it's not necessarily a bad thing, but they're held accountable the same way that a senior is to certain rules. And I think at at our age, they're still doing a lot of learning. So I think it'll be good in that aspect for them.
Okay.
Well, to be kids a little longer.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor of the recommendation being approved to policy 6.310, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it is approved. All right. We do need to have a moment of recognition. This is of our Comprehensive Educational Resources Committee that are from Chester County Schools. I know there's some certificates to be applied for this, and Mr. Pilzer will do those honors.
I was expecting Dr. Jill Faulkner to be here, but for some reason, her decision was not to be here. So she has passed the torch to, I guess I'm her lackey tonight, to do her work. But we have had a partnership with Comprehensive Educational Resources based out of East Tennessee for the last several years. It's been a real beneficial program to be a part of, not only for the fact that with the benchmark testing that we have to purchase, when you purchase those benchmark resources from this company that we purchased it from, buying it per district is a lot more expensive because it's a lot smaller group, because we're doing it for just our tested subjects. But for all of the districts that are in the CER group, we're packaging the offer or the request to the company that we buy it from with every district included. So we get a much better market price because of the numbers. So that's one benefit. But the second benefit, which is part of the reason why we're here tonight, is the networking that can occur, the work that can be provided for our teachers as well as teachers across the state that are part of this organization, that when we have new curriculum that has been adopted by the state, such as our most recent would be math, science coming up next, then it gives opportunities for our teachers to be part of those curriculum groups, to be able to develop lessons, to work on pacing. It just provides it provides a more comprehensive pacing guide and resources that our teachers benefit from, so that if they're trying to consider new ways, new strategies to teach some specific new content, then the resources that are generated by those in the CER group benefits all. It's just giving them an opportunity to see how Tennessee teachers develop best strategies, not asking another state or just the book strategies only. So it's a good resource, plus the networking that occurs, and it builds the professional capacity of our staff to deliver good instruction. So Dr. Jill Faulkner said that this was a commitment that we had made and wanted to use this opportunity for the board meeting to recognize those who had participated. There were two groups that were participating, two specific groups of those committee roles, and I shared with you, I believe there's, yes, thank you. Mm-hmm. We have the content review team members. I don't see either of those gentlemen here, but Corey Sweat and Ben Odom at Chester County High School provided the content review team for, again, the new math adoption. They both work at Chester County High School teaching those content areas. But for tonight, we're going to recognize several members of our teaching staff regarding the curriculum team members. And I'm going to ask them to come up and pick up their certificate. Again, it is I believe it's a win-win situation, not only for our district. We get to share our data with the other team members across the state of the CER. I would have to say that looking at it comprehensively, Chester County schools do really well. We've got room for improvement, but we're in a good place as far as performances that our students are capable of doing, and that's under the watch and the care of our quality teachers that are delivering the best instruction. So proud of them. So I'm going to recognize those, and making sure I'm looking real quick. I think the first one that I recognized in alphabetical order is Emily Maurice. She's served multiple duties tonight, but she was, Emily provides instruction for ELA at Chester County Middle School. Miss Erin Fenimore Warren, Chester County Middle School. Crystal, I'm just going to call you by your married name. So Crystal.
That'll be just fine.
Crystal Wilson, Chester County Middle School. And is there any? That's it. Okay. And again, there's other members that are not present tonight. Jara Leak was included. She was 5th grade ELA teacher at Chester County Middle School. Leanne Skaggs, English 3 teacher at Chester County High School. And Julie Miller, 1st grade ELA teacher at East Chester Elementary. So those, and Jill Bland, 5th grade ELA teacher at Chester County Middle. So I believe I've covered everybody. So we're appreciative of their work. Those are extra services that they take on themselves. They get a benefit from it, from the networking and the sharing, but definitely our students benefit from it.
Our final portion of our meeting tonight is just the time for updates. So usually start and let Mr. Pilzer address anything that we need to be shared before the board, and then anything the board members would request an update on at this time.
Okay. As was shared on page 5 of your agenda, on the 26th of last month, the state did release the report card results. It's gone to the public. So, and I was going to, Emily, you may help me out again. She's already gone.
So that means you're up, Rick.
No, I got it. I was going to share some of the examples of our school's report cards, so you can see the format of it. If I can spell it. Yeah, you can see it from both places. Let's see. Now, this has been made available to the public. It's for everybody. You can enter, like our school district here. This gives general information for the entire district. All districts have information that shows under this for the 22-23 year how many students were included in our enrollment. You have metrics that reflect how well we did for state achievement growth, as it says, state graduation rate, ready to graduate, and then the federal performance metrics. You can click on each one of those. Sure. Since we've got a large representation of middle school reps, let's take a look at the middle school report card. Is that okay there, Renee? Because they finally updated with the right name teacher, or excuse me, principal. Here we go. School Finder. You can just, it's a search engine with the map embedded, and then you get into, to find which school you're reflecting on. That's wrong. Back up. Well, here it is. Well,
Oh, there you go.
here we go. Okay. So for Chester County Middle School, again, if you recall, the Chester County Middle School was one of our 3 district schools that got the reward school status. So we're very proud of that. Chester County had 50% of our schools recognized in that category. We've never had 50% before, so we're proud of the work that middle school did along with East Chester and Jacks Creek. When you get into these performance metrics, if we were looking at the school letter grades, again, this information was released earlier than the public copy for the school report card, but as it's reflected, again, our middle school got a letter A. Of course, that's the best you can have. But then it gives you the breakdown that you can review as a parent or as a concerned citizen or stakeholder of the measures and how the indicators are for achievement. That's talking about how high was our percentage of success, growth, where we took students when they came in to where they left. And then this last one, which was a new metric measure for this year for the report card grades, they take each one of the tests that measure the TCAP and they look at the bottom 25 of those students and reflect on how much growth those bottom 25 students have, 25% of the students have. So, again, for Chester County Middle School, very effective with, and again, level 5 is the highest level that you can have. So you can do that for every example. I was looking for, it includes like the, no, it's gone back. Sorry. I'm not accustomed. You can look at your staff and see, again, the information regarding the number of educators that were included, what the breakdown per student to teacher ratio was. Look at it versus how our school compares to the district, compares to the state as far as the number for our teacher retention. How many teachers were able to maintain? There's several data points here that are able to be used to determine where can we target for goals to be set to improve performance in the future for student benefit. Again, all of this is, again, accessible for anybody to review. Got any questions?
That's good.
Congratulations.
Yeah, good teachers.
Good
Good
to
teachers.
their work.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Any additional updates or any?
Well, Mr. Travis Jones is here just to be, he just desired to come to the school board, I know, school board meeting. But John Mark Williams is able to give us an update on where things are as far as the production, or the progress on the work for our new capital projects.
Okay. Mr.
I wasn't really prepared to talk about the entire thing, but I will. We've taken some bids and then took 3 bids. Things are looking real good. We're still buying engineering, picking up some money. We've got the ag building on order, and it will be on the ground mid-July. The other building, we're still doing some tweaking on it, and it should be probably about a month and a half to 2 months behind the ag building as far as the delivery of it. Proud to say that we're on track right now, and budget-wise and every other way, we're picking up some good money. The dirt work that we're doing, we took bids on the unknown utilities that we hit. Travis Jones is the successful bidder, R. Jones on there. And they've got a good number, we feel, and we recommend that y'all accept it and we move forward. The only problem is we've got so much rain, we can't hardly get anything done. And I know, Ben, I told you 2 weeks ago, it looked like we had some good weather coming.
We did for a few days.
Yeah, but Travis can kind of feed in on where he's at better than I can.
Okay, how we ended up finding the utilities, guys, is this. We're gonna go out there and undercut everything, you know what I mean, go ahead and get it as far as the entrances down to grade. Even though it was a little too wet to finish the pad, we could move this material out of the way and be that far ahead. Well, within 3 hours of being out there, we hit a fire line that's approximately 25, 30 feet from the curb that nobody told us it was there. I don't think they knew it was there. So then when we dug it, we're out, I called the city, and the city said, well, there's a gas line up there by the curb. No, the gas line was behind the water line. And so was the electric line for those poles. So what we worked out is go from pole to pole, put it right behind the curb where it should be, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Not way out on the property. We will shoot that in, it won't require any gravel, nothing like that. I worked with an electrician, I said, I'll shoot it in, directional drill it, dig it out for you, and hook them up. The gas will be a quick process. The water's gonna be a little bit more, because you've gotta dip it down from top of the grade out there, you're probably gonna be looking at 7 or 8 feet. But now, where we're gonna put the gravels in the drive, so we don't have any compaction issues once it gets paved and all that. But we're gonna keep it deep all the way across our crossing, about 200 feet. The other issue is nobody knows where the other end of it is.
Yeah.
More than likely, it's out in the asphalt. Okay? So that means I gotta put gravel out there and potentially pave that area. And the gas may be out there too. But we have a way of cutting it off up there at the road, and we can work on it, no problem. It's just, the other question I had is, Troy, is, can we do it while school's in session?
Because they'll have to turn it off in order to.
The
to
fire
make the tie.
suppression system on that building over there will have to be cut off.
Yeah, I'd have to check with fire marshal
Yeah.
to confirm that. I would bet his answer would not be favorable, but that's just
what I
my
thought.
guess.
And that's why I was wanting to do it during spring break.
Yeah,
But just so happened during spring break, it rained the whole time here anyway.
yeah.
The other two issues won't take long to do. The water, we really need to be able to cut that out of the way, get that pipe out of the way, put it right back where it's at, just get it down, bring it back up, and test it, and then put it back in service. So, as far as the dirt work, like I told John here, I said, if we could get, it's been so wet, if we could get 6 or 7 dry days, it'll take that long to dry it out. And then to finish the pad, we need 3 or 4 days. So we're looking at a 10-day span. I told him, I just don't see it happening during April. I already looked at next week. The only way to speed it up would be to dig it all out and bring high-dollar material in. And if we're not under the gun,
Yeah.
we can do it. We can get it moved real quick. But when the soil testing people come out and check it, and they probe, and the probe just runs down, I mean, I'd have to undercut 3 or 4 foot. We're talking about a substantial amount of money.
Yeah.
So let's just let it dry, is my opinion. Hit it when the weather comes, save money there. We can get the pad ready. The pad will be what holding up the building. The driveway entrances is none of that will be holding it up. What I was trying to do was get ahead on the driveway and all, then we found these utilities.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I don't think there's any issue with the getting it done now, so I don't see any need in trying to spend any more money than we have to if we can just wait on drier weather.
and that's what Edward and I and he were talking about. I said, if it was me, I wouldn't want to spend the extra money.
Yeah.
I just want to wait and get it done,
Yeah. It'll dry up.
That's right, and what I told him,
We'll be
and we're doing some other work.
Yeah, we'll be fussing then.
It's been so wet, we've had to move over here from Fayette Shelby County line today. Move over here, we're doing some work on North Avenue, because it's out in the street, so we can work, right? So, we'll be here in town. So if it does dry up, we'll just pull all our resources, come over here and fog it. The upper end of the pad on that thing actually has been 6 inches of cut. It's about from the old entrance across from the Baptist church, down there it's got about 1.5 foot of fill on the building.
Yeah.
And down on that lower end is where it's so wet.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't want everybody to think I'm just putting it off. I'm
Oh,
not
no,
putting it off.
yeah.
I need to get done.
Yeah.
With any job, the day I bid it, I'm trying to look for the date that I'm gonna be done.
Yeah.
For my people and all, but, we can get the utilities moved, wet, whether it's dry or it's wet.
But
Okay?
it costs more money when you try to.
But when you're
speed up
trying to
the
build
process.
that building pad and trying to get that density,
Right.
moisture has everything to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no, I don't think anybody was questioning what the holdup was. When I inquired about it, I was just curious on what you had found that you might do with the water line. How far it ran, what the issue was gonna be.
It's at least 200 foot. And we're
And it's
have
gonna
to
go back in the same spot, just deeper.
That's right.
Where you can get
And
your
see, your
compression
drives
on
come
top.
in and there's like 2.5 foot of cut right there now. So if you take that 2.5 foot and you're 4 foot top of the pipe, you're looking at 7 foot.
Yeah.
Now, you're only putting 4 foot of gravel because you've got this cut down to subgrade. And the other gravel for the parking lot was already figured in. So, we're all good and we can move those utilities if just let it dry up a little bit, we'll go ahead and get the utilities moved.
Yeah.
As far as the building pad, you know, we need 2 weeks of dry weather.
Yeah.
Then with April, you know, probably not gonna get it.
Yeah. Yep, sounds good to me.
All right. Thank you for that.
Appreciate
update.
it.
Yeah, appreciate it very much.
Appreciate you being here.
Anyone have any other update to request or have any?
Well, I would close, just today I've read that there has been a work done with our capital projects note with county commission. Paperwork is being processed. It will be before the county commission for approval on their May meeting. So we're moving as quick as we can on that end. That should fulfill all the financial obligations we have to get what we need for funding for both buildings.
Any other questions or anything needs to come before the board?
Would that process hold up the ordering of the other building?
Yes.
Yes.
When is the last day of school?
23rd of May. I believe that's right. Does that sound right? And it's a half day, Travis. I mean, we're done by
If we
11.
have to wait till the 23rd, 21st of May, I'm sure we'll have the building paid. And we can, and as I told John Mark, we can leave that line hanging, okay, support it. You know what I mean? The water line that might possibly blow out. We can, the only thing in that building, do you have a cafeteria?
No, sir.
Nothing, the gas is just for heat?
No, the cafeterias, are they?
No, you're talking about for the new building.
High school.
Oh, yes, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you meant.
But now, things, how long would it be done? If it's a day or two, they can do it.
Well, what we would do, you know, was kind of, we would have a piece of pre-tested pipe in the spool. And so when we shot it in, we could pull it, all that's tested, then all we have to do is test this end and this end. So after, say, lunch, one day, we could tie it in at 2 o'clock, when we know everybody's done.
They could do without a day, that, you know, they can do other meal types for that day. if
We can work with that.
And the fire marshal might work a deal where we do fire watches in the building. Somebody just has to report in every 45 minutes to an hour and inspect things. They might allow us some downtime.
The water line part is the one that's gonna take a little more time. You know, because you gotta strip all that out, get it down to grade, get all that gravel in, and then you gotta test it. You know, so it takes, you know, I'd say probably 2 to 3 days if you were out there with a big crew.
Whenever you're ready, we can, John Mark, I can call him, or if y'all, we can call him one day and just let him know what we're looking at and see what he says.
Anything else? Draw your attention, just several dates in May to be aware of with graduation here, baccalaureate the 12th, graduation the 13th. Our next meeting will be actually out at Jacks Creek Elementary School. That will be Tuesday, May the 14th at 7 o'clock. And with that,
Did we need to go over the update on the 6.412 emergency response, allergy response plan?
Well, thanks for asking. I forgot to include it, but I was just going to share that as it reflects in your agenda, school nurses, coordinated school health director, myself, Becky, joined for a meeting. We spent a lot of time discussing different things, practices, procedures. The main focus that I had was to have some type of opportunity for all of our staff to gain some knowledge on a yearly basis for the allergy response. And I've included Mr. Maurice, who is responsible for our Safe Schools training. There is a series of different training requirements each year that they have to maintain. And this is going to add about a 17-minute video to watch that has an exit exam at the end that's set at the same rate as everything else. Staff that has to do these things have to at least score an 80% or better on the exit exam to justify that they've met that criteria for training, and that's yearly. Becky, you got anything else you want to?
I don't think so. I mean, everybody was pretty much on board with keeping everybody safe.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Tammy said she had letters she sent out to all parents, I believe, at the beginning of
Right.
the school year. And then also to that student's team teachers,
Right.
those parents got a more specific letter. I mean, she said, she does everything she can. They all said they do everything they can to keep everybody safe.
There would be the same number of EpiPen trained staff. This does not require everybody to be EpiPen trained. It will still be school nurses, possibly another one or two in the office space, maybe an administrator included, would be trained. So that would be consistent.
And then any volunteer that will.
Anybody.
Volunteer basis.
Sure, sure. Because the change in the policy is that we will have EpiPens not prescribed for somebody specifically, but just available for those situations to where some allergic reaction occurred that maybe they didn't know that would happen. Stephanie Lawler, who also joined in on that conversation, said that, even at the high school, I believe they had somebody that had a recent strawberry allergy reaction. I didn't realize that was fruit like that would be included, but, those things happen.
That it? All right, well, with that being the end of the agenda, this meeting is adjourned.
So you want to drive in
Okay,
each
all
day?
right, I'll walk out one.
I know it's not an overwhelming drive, it's just putting mine on.
Oh, I'm not worried about that. We'll cruise on in. It's an excuse to leave.